Daily Thoughts with Shab. Yes, I'm driving, but I'm not looking at the camera, so, you know. I was pondering, everyone's been talking about minimum wage. Minimum wage just is not a living wage. It's supposed to be a starting wage for kids. Well, technically, living wage is minimum wage. Minimum wage was supposed to be a living wage when it was introduced because people were underpaying their staff. And you know, something about minimum wage is it's basically saying I would pay you less, but the government won't let me. So, I mean, I know there's an uproar about minimum wage and how if you raise minimum wage, then the prices go up. Well, that's not true. When's the last time you've seen a $5 footlong or a $1 cheeseburger? Way before they raised minimum wage, that's for sure. The problem is just nothing fluctuates anymore, right? Like back in the day, an apple would have been 10 cents, but if prices went up, you know, in fuel or crops were low, then maybe the apple would go up to 20 cents. But the next year or the next season, the apple would fall, right? It'd go back down to 10 cents because prices would drop for fuel or you'd get an abundant harvest. But there's no fluctuation anymore. Prices just keep going up. Fuel goes up, prices go up. Fuel drops down, prices stay the same. They don't fluctuate. They don't go back down. And so that's just greed. That's just corporate crony capitalism is all that is, you know. It has nothing to do with wages. And I don't think there's people know that how many jobs are minimum wage, you know. Most of your Walmart jobs and store clerks and stockers, and most of those people make minimum wage, you know. I hear a lot of people say, servers, you deserve to tip servers, and I tip. But I'm just saying, people say, if you can't tip your server, you don't deserve to go out to eat. Well, is server really that hard of a job? Is it more strenuous than, say, working at McDonald's? Is being a bartender more strenuous than working fast food? Because I'll tell you this much, if I had to go and be a bartender or a waitress over a you know, fast food employee, I'm definitely picking you know, fast food, or I'm definitely picking a bartender or a waitress. I'm not working fast food. You can pay me to work fast food unless I was, like, you know, hurting. But regardless, I think everyone deserves a living wage. Personally, tell me your opinion. But what people fail to realize too, or maybe think about, is that not everyone that's working fast food that's a teenager has great parents. Or maybe, look at that, see, it fell because I told you I'm driving. It's gonna go on a blooper reel. Not everyone came from a great home. Not everyone has great parents. Not everyone has someone who cares about them. You know, so maybe that 15-year-old left their house, 16-year-old, they left their house and they went to work at McDonald's because that's the only place that's going to hire a 16-year-old. McDonald's, right? And maybe they're getting away from their drug addict parents, and they have a terrible life at home. So they move out and maybe move in with a friend or something, or they're trying to save money. Does that child or that young adult that's 16, 17 years old, do they not deserve a living wage? And when I say living wage, I don't mean a 3-bedroom house with a car payment and new iPhone and all that stuff. I'm talking about a prepaid Cricket flip phone, a bus pass, a 1-bedroom apartment, you know, and food, and be able to afford their utilities. I mean, do they not deserve that? I mean, do there need to be always 2 people to pay those bills? Shouldn't one person be able to get just the necessities on a minimum wage job? I think so. I personally think if we can send trillions of dollars to fund wars that most of us don't agree with, and trillions of dollars in aid, which most of us don't agree with, to other countries out of our tax money, then we can make sure that everyone who is working a job here gets a fair handshake, right? These people could be out robbing, stealing, They could be conning people, but they're trying to work and they're trying to do it the right way. So we're punishing them by saying, you're not skilled enough. You need to work a better job if you want to make more money. And I just don't think that's fair. You know, we're the only country in the world who doesn't provide a universal healthcare system for our people, and we're taxed one of the most. You know, when you start factoring in sales tax and local tax and federal and state and all this, man, we're taxed one of the highest, and we don't even have healthcare. So how about we stop being mad at each other and start being mad at the people who are really causing us the problems? So yeah, I do believe that a minimum wage should be a living wage, not an extreme wage, you know, or not an extreme payment where you're like, yeah, I have a 3-bedroom house, a brand new $1,000 car payment, and you got to be smart with your money. But I believe that if you work a job 40 hours a week, you should be able to live off of that. And that's just not the case anymore. And there's a lot of people that say, yeah, you can, but you can't. You can't live in Missouri. You can't live off $12.30 an hour and afford a 1-bedroom apartment, which is around $800 a month. I mean, you might find a really ghetto place that might be $600. Then you got your food, and even if you eat very meagerly, you're still looking at a couple $100 a month. And then you've got your utility bill, which is a couple $100 a month. Then you've got your bus pass, you know, and or a bicycle or whatever, but you're still really, you know, when you add up the numbers, you can't live off of it. So the richest country in the world, don't we all deserve, if we're all working, if we're working, we deserve to not live like communist China, right? Eating beans and cornbread and living with 15 people in a 1-bedroom shack, right? So I think we all just need to start supporting each other and not the corporations and the capitalists and the people that are raking in the money. Because that's the other thing when people say, well, I have to raise prices because I had to hire more or pay my people more. You should have factored that in, right? You should have factored in that you're gonna have to pay people more money or pay more bills, especially if you're hiring more people, right? That should all be already factored in. You're gonna raise your prices. Well, then if that's what you've got to do, then go ahead. But if you're saying that you didn't already think of that, then you're not a really smart business person. So if you're a small business and you can't afford to raise the prices of your employees, then maybe you shouldn't have more employees. Maybe you should work yourself more. But just my 2 cents. Let's hear your 2 cents, you know. Let me know what you guys think. But I think anybody who works a full-time job deserves a fair handshake. And if you have a better trade and you're more qualified to do things, of course you should get paid more, right? Hello, if you're a welder, a pipe fitter, or what, if you're great at digging ditches, you know, or operating heavy machine, of course you should get paid more. But let's stop fighting with each other, right? Let's stop fighting with each other about $15 an hour. We all deserve more than that, because it's a lot more expensive than that to live in the United States and save and prosper. And if you agree with me, let me know. And if you don't, tell me what you think. Anyway, just my thoughts. Have a great day. Shab out.